about getting weird with weirdos, nerds, the best kind of human. Every week, we talk to a star, an NYU student musician who's cool Oz, man. Yes, that intro is scripted and will be repeated every week. Who do we have with us today? That's right. As a testament to my own self-centeredness, I will be interviewing myself. This is the first episode of my brand new show, OffBeat. Every episode highlights a new up-and-coming NYU musician/band in 3 parts: intro, song, analysis. We start with an introduction into the story and style of the artist, filled with bizarrely specific questions into their past, those Nardwuar style, get you out of your comfort zone and wondering how the heck I knew that about you type questions. We'll have one of those later today. And overly dramatic and hopefully hilarious monologues about what music means to them. The intention behind part 1 is to break the ice and get to know the artist, what goes on in the life of an NYU musician, the drama, the struggle, the glory. We get a little taste of that rock star energy. Next, we listen to one of the artist's songs. This section has 2 functions. One, it gives you a little break from hearing my voice, but more importantly, we get to hear what all that personality becomes when it's time to write a song. You get the chance to discover your next favorite super underground song. We'll be hosting all sorts of genres, so get ready to have your taste buds titillated. Then we have a super smooth segue into part 3, where we get back to the interview. We now get this inside scoop into what the song was all about. What love affair, psychedelic experience, time they went backpacking and were kidnapped by pirates inspired them to write the ballad that just graced our ears. We will learn their techniques in songwriting and mixing. By the end, we'll be connected to their process and understand how that song came to be. And that's it. So without further ado, why don't we start episode 1? Tell me about yourself. Yeah, so my name is Julien Collet. That's Julien Collet for the French speakers out there. I'm an NYU Gallatin student studying the human voice, podcast journalism, and the solutions to journalistic struggles. I started playing music when I was like 4 years old. My mom signed me up for piano lessons. And then since then, I've been practicing piano, and I joined choir in like middle school, and I did musical theater throughout elementary school. And then in high school, I was in choir and musical theater and did some a cappella too. And now in college, I'm in an a cappella group here. I was in a vocal jazz ensemble. And now I wanted the opportunity to kind of make my own show. And I figured, look, I have a lot of musician friends, and I'd love to get more in the weeds about their songs, maybe help me write my own songs. So I did. So here's the show. When is the next episode of Emmy's World coming out? Right, so that's our Nardwuar style question. Emmy's World is a YouTube account that I made, 10 years ago, maybe more, when my little sister was very, very little. She's 12 today, so if it was 10 years ago, she was 2, something like that. And she used to sing these songs that she learned at daycare, Bim Bam, Bim Bidi Bam, or like Walking in the Jungle. And me and my family thought it was so cute, and I had this dream of being a YouTuber. And so I made a YouTube account, and she was my star. I had all these recordings of her being cute and singing songs, and she had my Guitar Hero plastic guitar that she would strum while she was singing sometimes, or she would just have food all over her face because she had just finished breakfast. And it was great. I don't know, maybe we can play a clip.
Whoa, whoa, the bird can feel at the wind. Money, 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 that's it for the dream. I did it.
Freaking adorable. She's so cute. Love you, Emily. Well, if you're ready, Julien, I think it's time to take a little break and listen to the song that you've brought us today.
Never fell in love before, and you've got me convinced I never will again. Cliche feelings, so much more. I can't believe it that this really has to end, does it? God, I'm fucking immature, hell-bent on independence. I'm learning how to ask for more. Soak up the sun, take that skin out when it's golden brown, smooth and oiled. Hair is coiled, tight and short, just how I like it, bright as the moon. How your mind makes me blush, that smile and your eyes, ears, your neck. Oh my God, your neck, give me attention. I'm needy, I'm helpless, I'm head over heels. Did I forget to mention I'm typically measured? You're tipping the scales towards wild. Reason has gone out the door. I'm no good without you, my priority is only yours. Call it treason, I'm waging a war. Got me all up in arms, arms around you is all I look for. I'm looking forward to Vienna, Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy. Before sunset I'll find you again. I'm hoping your intuition says we'll be together after all. Give me a reason to not ask for more. Take it easy on me, you're my captain, throw me overboard. And I'll commit treason, you're worth fighting for. Girl, I'm scared, but I can't wait to see what we two have in store.
All right. Why don't you tell me a little about this song? Yeah. The song is called Reason. It's the first song I've ever written. It's pretty simple, just piano and singing, but that's just all I actually have access to instrument-wise. I wrote it for my girlfriend for our 2-month anniversary. Fitting that, first song that I can write is after the first time I've fallen in love. Everyone loves writing love songs, and I get it. I don't know, it makes the lyrics at least a lot easier. So I wrote it in my living room in Paris on the piano, the upright piano there. I was working at a restaurant called Café du Centre. I was a passman, which is like there's an elevator in the restaurant where all the food from the kitchen comes up to the service area. And so I manned that elevator to put the dirty dishes on, took the food-filled dishes out, And I was also like doubling as a barback, helping the bartender, lots of different stuff, but a lot of standing around too. And so I had a lot of time to think of different uh, lyrics or melodies. I don't know. I just would like stand there and I would sing the same line. Never fell in love before. Never, no, 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 no. And I would figure out like what kind of lyrics I wanted to use, or I don't know. I would adjust the tune slightly, and it was good. I sang out loud quietly to myself, and then when I had it, like, oh, I don't know. When I came up with, I'm trying to think of a lyric that I was really proud of, like, oh yeah, like, got me all up in arms, arms around you is all I look for. I was like, ooh, listen to that. That's so catchy. And I was in the restaurant, and so I just kind of snuck my phone out and turned on voice memos and recorded me singing that bit.
Did you show it to the girl?
Yeah, I did show it to her. I wrote it for her. I had to show it to her. But I was torn about how I should show it to her. I made a recording of it. I set up my microphone on this precarious thing. I like put some books on the cable so that it would angle down to me, and I made a recording of it. I took like 20 takes, so I was like, okay, it's good that I'm recording this. I was afraid that if I were to play it in person, that I would mess it up and I wouldn't like show her all that I had to offer, you know. And so I had planned to show her the recording, and then I called my friend Imogen, and she said that no, I needed to show her in person. And so I was like, okay. But I did, and I showed her on her anniversary, and it was the whole thing, and there was a little crying. It was cute. And I'm glad. I'm glad that I showed her in person. And then I sent her the audio, and it was like, oh, now you have this too.
I was really pulled in by the bridge. I'm hearing some Linklater reference and a lot of pain. What's the story behind that?
So the Linklater reference is this trilogy that Richard Linklater, the writer-director, made, the Before series, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight. It's 3 movies. You follow this couple who fall in love in Vienna. They meet each other on this train, and they spend a day together getting to know each other. And by the end of the movie, they realize, like, oh, I might never see you again. Like, oh no, we spent this lovely day together. Like, what's going to happen? Ethan Hawke is going to go back to America, and Julie Delpy is going to go back to Paris. And Julie Delpy has her train right now, you know. And so what are they going to do? So they make this plan to meet each other again in 6 months, back in Vienna, the same spot. That's the reference in this song. I'm saying, I'm looking forward to Vienna. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. I'm talking about my girlfriend who I'm not going to see for a while. But I'm also giving her a hint that, in fact, I'm going to take her on a trip to Vienna. So I'm saying, I'm looking forward to Vienna, like we're about to take this beautiful voyage together to Vienna, and you don't even know it. But also, I'm looking forward to seeing you again. And as for the pain, I spent the last year studying abroad in Paris. And I met this wonderful girl while I was there. And I fell in love, and she became my first ever girlfriend. And I also knew, though, that we both knew that in a few months I would be going back to America and would be there for a year. So the fate of the relationship was really unclear. It felt quite doomed. So I'm writing this song about hoping that I get the chance to see her again. I felt like Ethan Hawke hoping that he sees Julie Delpy in 6 months, you know, that they meet again in Vienna. And I'm almost asking her for it, because in the second movie, you find out that Julie Delpy wasn't there, that Ethan Hawke showed up and Julie Delpy got caught up in something, and so she wasn't there. And thank God they met again in the next movie, and in Paris, no less, so it was another, like, reference to my life, or at least it felt that way. But she wasn't there, and there's this fear of, like, is this really gonna happen? But I also felt that I don't know. It's the first time that I'd ever fallen in love, and I had been waiting for this feeling for so long. It was so important to me to fall in love. That's like one of the top priorities I've ever had in my life, and maybe that's just a result of movies like the Before series. But I found it so important, and I felt like if I finally found it, and I totally believe in what I have here, like how can I let that go? And so it seemed kind of impossible. And so though this song has this kind of bittersweet ending where I say I hope that we'll be together after all, and I'm scared but I can't wait to see what we have in store. And what we have in store, turns out, if you were curious to hear, is doing a long distance relationship. But but the pain is still there, and was so present the day that I was leaving. I'm so not a person who cries very much, but I gotta tell you, god damn, the day that I took the flight away from Paris and I said goodbye to her, it was like I was fine the entire day. Everything was like sad, but like was fine. And then we're eating in a Burger King. I have this lettuce wrap in my hands, and I start chewing, and I just lose all of my appetite. And something about the flight that I'm about to take just like hits me, and I don't know where it's coming from, and just everything sounds like feels dull, and there's so much dread in the air. And I start crying, and she hasn't even been crying yet. So she's like, "Oh no, wait, what happened? You were fine just a second ago." And then I was just bawling I just kept crying so hard up until the flight. I I was all over myself. So I knew that pain was so there, that pain was so real, and I hope that it came through in the song. It, this person is so important to me, and it's amazing that that can happen, and that we can decide, like, no, this is my life, and like this is what gives me so much purpose right now. But it did, and it does.
All right, let's step away a little from the song. Where do you believe the ability to write songs comes from?
Yeah, I think this is interesting because I have I've always had this idea of what songwriting would be like, that I would tap into some like matrix of emotion that would flow through me into the keyboard and into my vocals. But my theory about music is that all instruments are just other languages we speak. I speak English, I'm pretty good at French, and I'm decent at singing, and I'm like just starting out at piano. And I've been working on piano for a while, but it's a language that I don't feel like I'm very fluent in. I can read like chord notation, but that's not really speaking. I'm not being it's not creative speech. I think to be fluent in an instrument means to be able to express your emotions through that instrument. And when I play piano, I'm not there yet. I'm to write this song, for example, I was babbling. Like a baby just kind of makes random noises. I just made a bunch of random noises until I was like, oh, I like that random noise, and I like that random noise. But it wasn't like in sequence. I had to like put a bunch of things together over a bunch of different time, and then it became a song. But that wasn't being fluent in piano, and I think that's important. That I don't think I wrote this song from my emotions in the same way that I would like to be able to someday. I think that there's some connection that you can have to an instrument that is like the connection we have to our language, where I can speak English and I can say how I feel, But I can't do that yet in piano. But I still did something, I still was able to piece together a song that I liked. But I'd like to get to that point.
And that is our show. I've been your host, Julien Collet, and your guest, Julien Collet. Tune in next time. That's in 2 weeks, September 26th, to OffBeat, to get a real look into a new NYU musician's life, baby. Peace.